Hello and welcome back to the Let's Talk Horse Business podcast with me, George, your host. And today we are solo and we are flying high with the 3 biggest mistakes equestrian businesses are making and how to avoid them. Now, I've spoken to so many guests on this podcast now, all from the equestrian space, and all of which highlight the same or similar streams where equestrian businesses have gone wrong, where they might have gone wrong and where they now help others. And today I want to bring to you the 3 top things that people do or make mistakes around which hinder them and their business. And let's crack on with this. Enjoy the show. The 3 biggest mistakes equestrian businesses are making. 1. Poor pricing strategies. People enter into this space because they love the horses and they have this desire to work with them. They think it's all hunky-dory and they go and buy a yard, rent a yard, or they have a yard at the back of mum or dad's house and they just start getting liveries and they just don't think about the pricing. And it's not how you would do it in any other industry. Do you think that Rolls-Royce decide that they fancy building this car and they're just going to roll it out and hope and pray that they get the right price for it at the end? Do you think that the supermarkets knock everyone down on their prices and just pop it on the shelf at a random number and just hope and pray for the best? Absolutely not. So why do we do that in the equestrian space? And why are we so fearful of charging the right price? So number 1 is a really, really big topic. And pricing strategy is something that really should be considered way before the business actually gets running. In fact, it should really be part of the conceptualizing the idea that you have. The concept or the desire that you have, you really should be thinking about this then. Because perhaps you can't charge what you need to charge, and in which case you shouldn't pursue the business. Or you're so keen on having this business, whatever it might be, you need to know your pricing and check and research if it's going to work in that marketplace. So what are my tips on pricing strategy? Well, first and foremost, you need to know your competitors, guys. You need to decide what your business is, whether you're a livery, a saddlery, a tack shop, an online store, whatever that is for you, you need to know what your competitors are doing first. Well, why do I say that? Because you could do it many other ways. Look at your competitors and see who they're targeting, what their pricing points are, what their strengths and weaknesses are against what your concept is, and put that together and analyze it. Now, that is absolutely the fastest way you can go about getting your concept of an idea to start looking like if it's actually going to be doable for you. Now, some would say, well, you need to know your customer base and your client and avatar first, if you like, for want of a better description. And that's great. You can do that. You can spend hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds trying to work out what your client wants. But if there's somebody in your niche that's already doing it, they've done the research for you. So go and research what they do, because it's sure fast going to be much, much quicker for you to find your results and get your concept off the ground. So search your competitors, see what they're doing, compare it to what you want to offer. Once you've got that idea, you now know and can move to the next step on looking at how can you differentiate what you do. Why is what you do or what you're going to do better or different to what they do? And then that is where the real value comes for your concept or idea. And actually, it's pinnacle in working out your pricing strategy, because whatever that benefit is will have a value to your users. The next thing to consider is, are you positioning your business in the right place? Are your competitors comparable, essentially? So I could look around the whole of Cambridgeshire, Hertfordshire, a huge area, and get thousands of comparables for most different businesses. But where your business is going to be situated will be different to everyone else. And how is that a benefit or a hindrance to your clients? So, for example, I have a yard in Hertfordshire. It's going to be in Essex, and people down there are charging, I don't know, let's say £200 a week for a livery. But there's so many yards in that area, in that constituent, the price is being driven down. The same yard with the same facilities in Newmarket, where there is an absolute shortage of yards, might be charging £300 a week for that livery. So you need to then consider the location of your concept. And if your concept works, but it isn't working in an area, you might need to consider moving it or adjusting the concept. And then finally, with the pricing strategy, you then need to decide in addition to that, what you're offering that's different. So we've got your pricing strategy and the location of it, doing your comparables. So comparables, your location, and then what you're offering that is actually different. Now, for example, a yard, it's the easiest option for me to go with, that has an arena that's fit and adequate for a top quality dressage competition rider versus a yard that has got 2 arenas, a walker, plenty of turnout. They are very different offerings and should be priced accordingly. And you can actually make that differentiation. When you're selling it, it's all about, well, this is why we are what we are. You haven't got to justify it, but what you can say is, but we are this, we have that, and we have the other. Does that make sense? I've gone on a little bit there onto that rabbit hole, but I think you get in the idea. So number 1 is poor pricing strategies. Number 2 is too many people in the equestrian world, whether it's because we're a little bit industrialized, we haven't quite caught up with the digital era, they're hoping and praying on word of mouth for their businesses. Don't get me wrong, word of mouth is absolutely going to take you a long way. If you have a good reputation, you're trustworthy, people know you, and you can build great relationships, it's going to take you a long way. And I do it myself in my own business, so I fully appreciate that will be the case. But it's not the only form of marketing. And people get by on word of mouth, but fuck getting by. We want to fucking smash it. The second one is the reliance on word of mouth. Like, I think we must be the only, well, I'm sure we're not the only industry, but one of the main industries which just focuses on word of mouth so much, and they just think that's the way it is. And actually, that's partly because we're stuck in a bit of an industrial era, and we're stuck in this sort of idea that tech isn't used in the equestrian space, but my goodness, it absolutely is. One really good example was when we spoke to Carvago a few weeks ago. And if you haven't heard that, please go back and have a listen. We met with Sophie, who is now the managing director of the UK side of Carvago. And they're absolutely smashing it in terms of building an online platform for riding centres, liveries, transporters, you name it. They're going to have it on there, and really starting to bring us into more of a digital era. Think of it a bit like a booking.com. You can list yourself on there and people can find you and book you. Now, that will seem alien to some people, but Carvago particularly spends so much time helping other people with a dedicated team be able to implement and build these systems so easily, so, simplistically, and then all they have to do is learn how to use the basic functionality of the app, and people bring their bookings to you. It's all done on your phone, really easy to do. And that's one thing that you could do to get out of this word of mouth spin that we're all in. Another thing is relying, the use of social media. Now, many people and many of you on here will be listening or watching to influencers or people of interest to you on the social channels. But have you thought about doing it for yourself? Now, I'm by no means suggesting we all need to go out there and make videos professionally for entertainment. But whatever your business is, there will be a location on social media, and I think we've banged on about social media so many times on this podcast now. But there will be somewhere for you to go and put your products, services, what you offer, and reach an audience. If anything, it's almost like word of mouth, really. You know, it's a no-brainer now. It really is a no-brainer. Now, I understand word of mouth is fantastic because actually some of the most valuable connections and clients you can make are from those who have used you already, because you know they're vetted already and part of the process. But, you know, in this day and age, again, you can post on socials to find business, but you can also search other people on socials, and actually that can help you with delivering your products and services too. So that's the second thing, which I think we're doing wrong as an industry. We're relying on word of mouth in a space where we're now entering a digital era. And I think it's going to become harder and harder to rely on word of mouth as we move forward, because things are radically changing. People now post online or connect through various apps, you know, WhatsApp group chats, communities, to build their businesses. Because that's just how we seem to be going, and I've no reason, I couldn't tell you why that's happening. But with all these new generations, all this new technology, we are moving forward in that space. And I really do think that any business owner on here today should be thinking about looking at Cavago if you're a riding centre or livery, or you want to get your marketing out onto digital platforms, but also thinking about where you can be posting on social media. Have a social media plan. Post 3 times a week. Your products, your services, what, why, who you are, and what you do. Because it's not going to harm you at all, and the leads that can be generated are astronomical. Another thing that you could do, apart from word of mouth, is actually start looking at ads. Now, ads cost money, and I think that is often where we get very skeptical in this space, because it's often a bit more of a cash-strapped space. It's often a bit more of a, perhaps there's a bit of disbelief around it. But the returns that happen from ads, you can spend £300 on ads, and depending on who you are, what you are, how you do it, there's so many variable factors, but I see people doubling, 3 timesing, 5 timesing, even 10 times their results. Put £300 in, you get £3,000 worth of bookings. Now, who wouldn't want to do that? So that's another thing to think about. If the socials isn't for you, how about paid ads? Who could do that for you? Have you got an online website to be visible to others? Have you got a Google business profile? Have you got leaflets or flyers or posters, which, believe it or not, still work in this day and age? I'm saying word of mouth's a bit old hat, and I know these are as well, but if you're not doing it, you can't be seen by people. So they're just some of the ideas that I've got for you today. But that is another one of the biggest mistakes people make. They rely on word of mouth too much. Number 3, not valuing time or burnout due to delivery of your products, services, whatever that might be. This is a huge problem. Again, particularly in the livery space, but it goes across the board. As a horse transporter, I absolutely have fallen into this category sometimes. And it's fatal. Now, how can you avoid that? Let's start at the beginning. Not valuing the time or burnout for delivery. Now, you can't get time back. The time that you spend delivering your products and services is lost. It's costing you money. And how much are you valuing that at? Now, I know absolutely and full well there'll be many people on here charging such peanuts for what they do that actually, if they worked out what their hourly rate is, you would probably feel ill or give up. But that is the reality for many people. They don't value their time enough, and you're not therefore asking your customers to value your time. So firstly, to avoid this mistake, you need to be pricing your time adequately. Minimum. You're probably the same. We pay people a minimum wage. Why are we not getting at least a minimum wage? Now think about that. It's ludicrous, really, isn't it? So to avoid that one and valuing your time, you need to make sure your pricing is accurate. That goes back a little bit to your pricing strategy, but you need to make sure your pricing is accurate to ensure that your time is of the value you absolutely deserve. We are all dying on this world, as bleak as that is. And if you're not valuing your time through getting at least a fair financial reward for the time you're giving, well, you're dying for everyone's benefit and your loss. That's a really morbid way of putting it, but think about that. And then many of us with businesses, we go all out and we put everything in to the point that we're burning out due to the delivery. Now, how can we avoid that? We need to have a team around us. Whatever business you're in, have a team, because you are going to be phenomenal at something. You might be phenomenal at starting your business. You might be phenomenal at the marketing. You might be absolutely out of this world with customer relations, communicating, teaching lessons, fitting saddles. You might be absolutely the God's gift on all of that. But if you're good at any one of those things, you're not going to be amazing at something else. You might not be good at posting on social media regularly. You might not be so confident in delivering a top quality website. You might be less sure about how to create content. But because you're doing this solo business and we're so busy with the horses and our margins are a bit small, we do it all ourselves. We keep going and trying to do it all ourselves. But I want to give you the reality in that you won't be doing it very well and you cannot do it all. You can do something very, very well, and that's what's got you here today. But doing the other things not very well, it's actually probably a waste of your time. And actually, like I've already touched on the whole point of this, you're going to end up in burnout. So how to avoid it? You need to have a good team. Now, that's not accessible to everybody, but what I'm going to urge you to do is when you're building your pricing strategy from your concept, you need to allow for these extra things. Now, don't expect that when you launch a business, you're going to have a full team of 5 people, one working on your branding, marketing, one working on your social media, another one working on your administration. That's not how it works. But you need to know that as you scale, you can start to have these specialist people in place and have that factored into your pricing. Because that will reduce your burnout. That gives you the time to do everything that you are clearly amazing at. And that is how you're going to build a business. Now, I hope some of that makes sense. And don't get me wrong, I make some of these mistakes still today. And that's why I'm looking at this as a journey. And I'm hoping to go along with you guys on this trip. But I don't think we're talking about this enough. We're not talking about this enough. I see and talk to people every single day who are struggling with at least one of these things. Poor pricing, can't charge enough, can't earn enough, but I've got all of this and I can't do this and I can't do that. How do people hear about you? Oh, well, I just got referred from a friend for that one, and then they told their family about me, so then they came along and great, but there's a lot of other people out there that could do with your services and your time and burnout. Oh, I've just got no time to do all of these things. Oh, I've worked 10 hours, 12 hours, 20 hours today, and I still haven't done this, and this, and I just can't seem to get there with it. Well, let's take action and let's change it. So, they're my 3 biggest mistakes that equestrian businesses are making today. They're having poor pricing strategies from the start when they're building their concept. They're relying on word of mouth only and not looking at building other marketing streams. And they're not valuing their time or ending up with burnout due to excessive delivery. Again, not valuing your time. And if you want any help avoiding any of those, please feel free to get in touch, because there's a whole host of resources, tips, tricks, and hints that I can give you to help you working through those, because as a business owner, I fully appreciate, and I have over the years fallen into these brackets, and I absolutely want to help people work out the best way for them to get out of this and make their business work for them, so you're not working for everybody else. Guys, that's me for today, but please think about this as a mindset change that you might need to take. I've built a system called the RAIN system, which the first point is actually thinking about your mindset and reframing your thinking from working for everyone else to actually starting to work for you, because it's you that is important. It's you that's giving up your time for other people's benefit, and so you should be rewarded for it. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing today, please have a fantastic day. And thank you ever so much for listening to me on this podcast. Now, we have got many exciting guests coming up for you over the next few weeks, but I am going to be running a bit of a series following this one with a few different things which I suggest or think we need to talk about as a space. I'm going to be highlighting some of the key points that my guests have said over the past few months. And with that, we're going to take that forward and also put it to some of our new guests. Have a fantastic day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I hope we'll see you again soon on the Let's Talk Horse Business podcast. Cheers.